Welcome to part 2 of the Birthday Jubilee Project Playbook. Seemed that we finished the last one kind of hurriedly. So what I want to do is do a recap of the cutting guide, the changes I made, and then I'm going to put each page together in a little bit more detail. We'll talk about embellishments and kind of still review the changes I made versus what the one-page layouts were. Now again, if you are fine with the 4 one-page layouts and the two-page layout, just cut according to the cutting guide. You can also make your own adjustments. These are just things that I had done. So get yourself some post-it notes and or write in your book like you can see mine is, and we'll go through. So designer paper number 1 was the blue watercolor, sorry. Now, we used one of those for the project recipe. If you didn't, you'll have two that match. You'll notice that the Fast to Fab blue watercolor and the one from the designer are a little bit different shade. So I used both the ones from the Fast to Fab. For designer paper number 2, we did use the orange watercolor, or I did, for the project recipe. So I'm not going to cut the mats. These are the double mats for layout number 1. So I'm not going to cut those, but what we are going to need is two 2x11s with a ribbon for layout 2. We'll need 4 2x8s for layout number 3. And then we're going to punch some cakes. So I kind of reviewed that, how to save some paper, in the first video. Designer paper number 3, we are not going to cut the mats. Important on this one that you look at which way the candles are on the back and that you cut them, making sure that you cut them in your trimmer with the candles this way. I would even turn the paper over so that the paper is the correct direction. Mine are the wrong direction. I'm going to show you when we get to the page how I kind of saved that, so it wasn't a problem. So you're going to cut 2 for 3D, and those are for layout number 4. And you're going to cut 2 2x8s for layout number 3. And then we're going to cut some cakes, and actually we're going to cut 4. Now, for designer paper number 4, which is the orange dots, for A, B, C, and D are mats for layout number 5. If you are not going to be cutting mats, then don't cut those. But you know what? You can leave these 4x6. There's no need for them to be 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. And you need to cut 4E, 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. If you saw the last video, I did cut that the wrong size, but that's okay. I had enough that I cut it properly, and I used this piece that I cut incorrectly for my cakes. You're going to cut, again, 4 cakes, 3 or 4 cakes, and these little pieces that are 1.5 by 3/4 are to make the cake, and we're going to make one together again. I found that the 1.5 was a little bit too big. It was 1 3/4. It goes on the back. I'll show you again. I only use 1 1/4 by 3/4. 1.5 was a little bit too long. So that's 4. Layout paper number 5 is for layout number 2, and you're going to need 2 of those that are 2x9, and then we're going to ribbon cut them. Designer paper number 6, we need 2 of those. We're going to make a faux border for layout number 3. But let's not cut it this way. What we are going to end up doing is we are going to cut 4 1/2-inch strips, cut those first, and then we're going to use our jumbo circle with the blue and the red blade on the inside. Okay, designer paper number 7, which again is that plaid, we are going to cut 2 that are 3x12 for layout number 5. And we need 2 7Cs that are 2x8 for layout number 3. And we need 4 1/2-inch strips for layout number 3. Again, cut the 1/2-inch strips first. For designer paper number 8, we're going to have to change this up a bit if we want to make an exact matching page. So what you can do with this 3x12-inch strip, you're going to cut it 3x3. If you noticed in yesterday's video that one of mine was cut incorrectly, it's okay. I'm going to show you how I can still make it work. And make sure that you watch how I cut the jumbo with the green blade on the inside to get 2 of them that are about 3/4 of a circle, so that we have 2 of those. Pages 9 and 10, we didn't cut the outside off. We'll talk about those as we finish them up today. When you get to paper 11, that's all mats. I did cut extra mats. Basically, I used 2 sheets of baby blue, and I cut 6 4x6s and 4 3 3/4 by 5 3/4 and 3 4x4s out of 2 sheets. And I also used 2 sheets of blue cardstock. Instead of making my mats with the stripe, I just used blue cardstock, and I made 3 that were 4.5 by 3.5 and 4 that were 4x5. Those ones are for layout 1. The other ones, the 6 4x6s, are for layout 2. 5 of them are for layout 2, and then the other ones, 4 3 3/4 by 5 3/4 are for layout 4, and the 3 4x4s are for layout 3. And we'll review that when we get to them. And you will need to cut 2 borders with the stacked presents out of baby blue cardstock. You're not going to cut 13 because we're going to redo how we are doing layout 3. So that's a recap of what to cut the papers. So let's move on to making one of these cakes together. I already made 3 of them, so let's make the 4th one together. So you'll need either your micro tip scissors or your regular scissors. Let me move this up here. The orange is going to be our bottom piece. We will take the blue and we'll cut the candles off. I find that these little pieces stick to this mat, and sometimes it's hard getting them off. Get our repositionable tape runner, and that is just going to go on top of the orange polka dots. So just line that up. Then we are going to take the orange watercolor. We are going to cut off the candles, and we are going to fussy cut the bottom. Okay, and that's the icing, and the icing, actually I got one little candle that still has a little tail here. That is going to go on top of the blue cake. And then what we are going to do is turn it over, and on the back we are going to add this 1.5 by 3/4. And as you see, you may not see, it sticks over. So you can cut part of them out. I found that it was like 1 1/4 will not stick over. So just trim some off the back, just make sure it's covered. So now we have our 4 cakes for layout number 1. So let's get set up and let's go through the layouts with the changes. So here's layout number 1. And if we look at the book, right, and I will take these off this page for now. And I may not take the time to attach both on camera, but let's attach one. I still like using Repo. I seem to always line them up a little bit off. Sorry, let's move that out of the way. Line up your base page, and as I said last night, you will need 8 pieces of white cardstock, bright white cardstock, or inserts from the 12 by 12 top loading, or just 12 by 12 pages for this. I'm lining this up at 1 inch all around to have a 1 inch frame all around. If you have a T-ruler, this is a good time to use your T-ruler to make sure that you're straight. Now, as I said last night, or in video 1, let's say video 1, if you want to draw, as they have drawn, just some squigglies around the outside, this is the time to do it before you attach anything else. You may want to practice on just a scrap piece of paper, and you're not going to want to try to draw straight, right? Because then it's going to look, so just let it go freehand, right? We're going to use the regular tip journaling pen, and then for the dots, you can either just, you know, make a dot or change over to the other end of the journaling pen, and you can make dots, and the harder you push down, the bigger the dot will be. So just freehand these squiggly lines. And again, if I don't like it, I can always turn it over to the other side. So I'm just going to do a little bit on camera. The rest I will do later. So if you look what they did, she just kind of has, let's see, she only has her dots. Let me do the dots first. She has 3 dots over here. There are 3 dots over there, 3 dots down here, and 3 dots down here. And you can even see in some, if you really look closely, she's got a double line down here. She just kind of, it doesn't matter, right? We're just adding some little definition to the page. So kind of just draw, don't worry if you're straight or not. Don't try to go straight, don't concentrate, just kind of draw. And you kind of see how that just outlines and gives a little bit of definition to your page. Now she's got this on quite a few of the pages. I'm not going to do them all, but I will show you. So there it is. That was that easy. And that's fine. You're not trying to be straight. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is, we talked about this every day, your sunshine rules. That is actually a embellishment. So does it say do a large balloon? Where it looks like, and she's got it right at the top, it looks like it's at 1.5, and the instructions may see that. I'm not looking closely at the instructions. Okay, then we are going to take our 3 mats. Actually, let's start with the pinwheel border. And the pinwheel border on the top of the photo mats piece. Okay, so photo mats do need to go first. Adhere the 3 pieces about 2 3/4 inches from the bottom of the page. Okay, and again, I just used blue cardstock. We do have a sheet, an extra sheet of the blue stripes, so if you wanted to do that, you could by all means add the blue stripes. I don't normally double mat, but again, if you want to. We didn't have any of the orange watercolor left, because if you made the project recipe, you used it there. But I did bring out 3 sheets of coordinating cardstock that we could use. This is an old one from Chile, from one of the paper buffets. I brought this one up because I did use this in my project recipe. So these are 3 that you could use if you wanted to double mat. And the sizes are here in the book for designer paper number 2 if you want to make double mats. Oh, sorry, went too far. Here we go. That's the size of the mats. So these are the mats. And again, now you may decide maybe you don't want to attach it at this time, because maybe this isn't how you want your mat. So I'm not going to attach mine, but we are going to finish this page. You're then going to put on the pinwheel border. We do have these 2 jumbo balloons. These 2 balloons were from Artsy Add-On, and she didn't use this happy birthday to use. She actually took a sticker from the sticker sheet and used Another Year Wiser. I'm just going to leave the Artsy Add-On the way it was for this one, and we'll decide at the end, maybe we don't want it here, so maybe you don't want to attach it all. And actually the balloons could go underneath. It could kind of go like this. You can see she's added some journaling lines in here. Also some little dots. You can make those dots from any of your leftover pieces. Use your hole punch if you wanted those dots. Okay, so the other thing that she has is we have this little cupcake, which is in there. She has the woohoo. I don't like it where it is because to me it's covering too much of that picture. So I'm not going to use the woohoo. But she did use 3 cakes, and her cakes are embedded kind of in the border here. So it kind of gives it like another level. And then she's got a sticker from the sticker sheet, it was the best birthday ever that she has on there. So that is the page according to the project guide, project playbook. So let's go to the second page. And again, I am not going to draw the lines and everything. I'm just going to show you the mat options like I did last night. So here we have 4x5 mats. We're going to line it up at the 1 inch, same that we did. We're going to draw our little squiggly lines if you want to. And then I have an extra cake down in the corner. And then this is from the Artsy add-on. So again, we can just join this together. And I did already have some, Pop had, should know what our form squares, and had a little senior moment. And then we can just add this to the middle. It makes a nice middle to your page. And then that's all you need to do for layout number 1. Okay, and again, if you don't want this little cupcake, by all means, don't use it. If you want to change your mats differently, do that also. So let's move on to layout number 2. In Light Magic, here's layout number 2. So let's get all of these off so we can talk about how we place them. So we have our pieces. We are going to attach, and again, I'm only going to attach the one side, the left-hand side, and then you can repeat this on the right-hand side. So we are going to attach the circle, and if we read the instructions, it says that the half circle is going to be 1/4 inch from the top left-hand corner. You can use regular tape runner, repositionable. You know me, I'm a repo girl. So I like repo better. It doesn't get totally permanent, but it gets enough for me. So we're going to do that approximately 1/4 inch from the top. Now, this second one is going to be 1/4 inch from the bottom. And this one I am going to get my silicone mat so that I can add the repo. I do have a new desktop, so I don't want to get it on my new top, and I don't want it stuck to the page. So this is going to be 1/4 inch, roughly. It doesn't need to be exactly, you do you. So 1/4 inch from the bottom. And of course, it's not going to go on straight. There we go. And this is why we use repo. And you're going to do the right-hand page exactly the same. See, if you don't get this straight to start with, it is going to go wonky. There we go. Okay. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect. There we go. Now we are going to get our 2 pieces, 5A and 5B, and we have banner cuts on those. And neither one of them are going to touch the top. And she says that 11, oh, that's for the mats. Now, I gave the option, I showed you the option yesterday to turn the big banner over, piece 2A, and you could use this side if you wanted to. So I'm going to still think about it, so I may not attach them. You can see the right-hand side has that up. Next thing we're going to use is our mats, and if you're not using mats, then don't worry about it. These are all 4x6 mats, so your mats are going to go in the middle here. And then we have the big happy birthday up at the top. Actually, she's got it overlapping a little bit here. So up to you if you want to use the spot here or overlap the mats. Now, she's using the flowers. So it's going to depend on whose birthday this is, but you have the option. You could use the flowers. You could use, some of the presents. All right, lots of choices to use from, but you've got, at least you have your title. And the birthday cake, I'm going to put on the opposite page. So here we have our matching page. Oh, I forgot the balloons. Let's do that. So that's going to come along here. And as I mentioned yesterday, that this is going to be tucked tucked in underneath that first set of balloons here. Right, you can tuck it underneath, but it will be underneath here a little bit. I actually like it when those ones are on top. So however you want. She also has the camera there. And then the other one she has is a sticker. And I thought I had my stickers close. You think you have everything close to you. So you can see this Celebrate You is a sticker from the sticker sheet. And I'm going to put them right here so I know where they are. So on your matching page, we have everything down. What can we do on our matching page? Well, we could take the cake because we don't need it there. We could add the cake there. Again, you could add the flowers. So if you had a flower on both sides, right, you can bring those flowers across. If you had the present, right, you could actually put a present with that cake. So lots of options. And so for Matt's on the right hand side, a couple things I was thinking. You could just continue it across the page, or you could add one more to give you 3. And then the other thing you could do up here on the top, you can see these are my artsy add-ons. You could add one of the artsy add-ons here. Let's put this under here. Let's go with the presents. And so you could have another one up here. So any one of these, we already say happy birthday, so maybe don't want another happy birthday, but so that would be our 2-page spread. So taking it from the 1-page spread in the project playbook and changing it to 2 pages. So let's move on to layout 3. Layout 3, this is how I left it last night. It looks a mess. But one thing I want to go back to layout number 2. She does have the little squiggly lines and dots. Again, you would draw those before you attach. You could attach at least these two, the circle pieces, but do your squiggly lines before you do anything else. She also drew journaling lines down here at the bottom. Okay, so now we'll go to layout number 3. So this is where we are not using a 1-inch frame. We are going to make that faux border, right? So we cut 4 half-inch strips for each side. So let me take all my pieces off, and I did talk a little bit on video 1 about how to do that. So first thing that we are going to do, I'm just going to leave those pieces there and we'll talk about it. So I need my silicone mat. We are going to attach the top and the bottom pieces. So we are not going to cut those pieces. So I'm going to put some repo on the top and the bottom. So we're leaving those square. And we did this in another project a couple weeks ago for when we were paper saving. Let me move some out of the way so it's not getting confusing what I'm doing. Okay, and then the top. And the top piece. It's hard when I don't stand up to see that I have it exact. Now the 2 side pieces, we already cut one last night. Here it is. And we cut each corner on an angle. Now I'm going to show you again how to do that and how it will look. And I'm just trying to find my eraser because I like putting a pencil mark. You can do it either way, with or without that pencil mark. I'm going to line that up. That did not work well. So if you're erasing, don't use the back of your pencil. Use a good eraser because otherwise it just messes it up. So 2 ways that you can do. You can use either one of your trimmers. You can just take this piece, line it up at the 45-degree angle, and cut this corner off. So I'm lining the tip at the cutting line. I have my paper on the 45-degree angle, and then you can just cut. And then what you have to remember to do though is turn your paper over and then do that on the other side, right? What I did yesterday in part 1 is I actually made a little mark. So if you think you're going to forget to do that, just put your paper, your little strip on here. And I just made a mark so that I said, here's the bottom, here's the top. So when I knew which way to cut it. All right. So I'm going to put repo on the back of both of these. Let me bring that into camera. And you don't have to use the repositionable like the whole length of it. We don't need that much. And then we are just going to put these in the corner, making sure that our angles are going the correct direction. And you will have what looks like a faux corner. Hold on one second. So that's the easiest way to do this. Again, I'm not going to do the right hand side with you on camera. I have a little bit of a hangover on this page here, not personally, but a little bit of paper hanging over at the top and the bottom that I'm going to trim off after. Might not have just got it straight on both sides. There we go. Okay, so we have our full border made. So let's go back to the project playbook. So what we need to do, and again, we've got the squiggly lines. If you want the squiggly lines, make sure that you adding them right now. And then we're going to line up our pieces. So we have 2E, and I'll go from the outside edges first and then line up the inside ones, right? Because it says 2E, use a tape runner, 1 3/4 from the left and the right edges. So bring those in 1 3/4 inch. These are not going to have a lot of space between them. Again, if you want to be using your T ruler or a ruler, you can do that to find out where your 1 3/4 inches are, which is about there. Now, as I said last night, I cut these wrong, which I'm going to go add a little note. My candles are wrong, so you're going to have two options. You can either use the dark blue side, there's nothing wrong than that, or I did have a scrap piece left, but looking at it, you know, it's not big enough, right? But if you look at the layout, we have a mat over top of it, and it's covering the whole middle of it. So my thought was I would just cut this in half. There's always ways to make up for things that you think don't follow the recipe. Again, it's just an idea sheet. If it doesn't match perfectly, it doesn't matter. And we can always have different options. So this way we have the option to go with the dark, keep it the dark blue. That's what that's. So when I do this, all right, now I have this white space in the middle. But when I get my mats, and this one has two mats, one that is 4 by 6, this has a 4 by 6 mat, and as you see, you don't even know that I took the middle out of that. And then it has a 4 by 4. We have this one just has the birthday, again because it's just the 1-page spread. We have birthday, and below here she has the balloons. We have the balloons below here, as well as some confetti. There's the confetti. So we've got the confetti underneath the balloons. So we're going to put the confetti, the balloons, and what this piece is in front. So she's got time to celebrate as well as happy, happy, happy. And those are stickers from the sticker sheets, right? So we can get those here. Here's the happy, happy, happy. And the time to celebrate. Oh, I didn't see that in the embellishments pack. But I'll keep looking for that one. Now this mat that you see here this is from the regular mat pack. You would cut this in half and trim this down, and it would go here. Otherwise, if you don't want to use that, you could just use it as a mat. You could put another 4 by 4 mat there. So lots of options. So that is matching to layout number 1. And again, the squiggly lines and the journal boxes. So let's now make it to the 2-page spread. So again, I had those 4 pieces, and let me get all of this off of here. I have these 4 pieces for the trim to make our frame. And you can do this with any paper, even if you don't want to cut a 1-inch frame, because you need 12-inch pieces is what we needed the last time we did this. This is another way to make it, other than you know that you have the kind of faux corners, right? We're going to do the same thing and put our 4 sheets in the middle, our 4 2x8 pieces. Again, if I don't want this blue one, I do have one more cut that I can cut in half. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to go happy, because we have the happy, and then you can either put the birthday at the top or at the bottom. And then for mats on this side, some options are you can use 2 4x4s and then take a mat from, this is from the Artsy add-on, and you can add this mat in the middle, and then 2 4x4 pictures wherever you kind of want to put those. And then for other embellishments on this page, there's some stickers. This one says birthday bash. We could use that. You could use some of the candles, and I was talking in the first video that you can kind of see the candles. You've got a 1 candle, a 2 candle, and then this one that has a lot. What you see in a lot of the layouts, and like this one, she's cut 4 out of this candles, and actually she looks like she's taken these 4. So if you use these 4 candles up here, you could also cut some more candles and put them on the right hand side on top of this birthday bash. You could put them there, right? They could kind of go up like this under the birthday bash. So that is a layout or project number 3, going from that 1 page to the 2 page, and again how to do that faux border. So let's move on to project number 4. Okay, moving on to project 4. So this is the one where instead of cutting one 3x12, we took that 3x12 and cut it into 4 3-inch pieces. Except I messed one of mine up and I cut it 4 and 2, but it's still going to work. So what we're going to do for the left hand side, so these are going to be approximately 3 inches in. 3 inches in, right? And then the circle is 1 3/4 inch from the top. Oh, I'm going to turn this way. 3 inches in, and this is going to be 1 3. Adhere the circle piece 8B, which is this one, 1 3/4 inch from the top, and then so that's about right there. Okay, so you can see we're fine. This is not, you're not going to see any of that. The next thing that we're going to do is take our mats, and these mats were 11E and F, and those mats were 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. My mats are still 4 by 6, and let's try and see if that's going to work. So we're going to have one mat, and we're going to have another mat, and they're going to be very close to the bottom. And see, so you don't even see if I cut that piece at 2 inches, it still worked fine. It's no problem. Then we are going to get from the Artsy add-on, we're going to get one of the 4.5 by 6.5 inch mats. So it's going to still hang over. Maybe not quite as much here, but you'll be able to get a bigger picture, a photo on there. Now we have the Cheers to Another Year up there. Let me get a 4 by 6 picture just to put on this middle one here, fake picture. All right, we're still going to have 2 other pictures there. Now this border, you can see that it's the stacked presents, and it's got the blue behind, and what she ended up doing was fussy cutting it. If you're not into fussy cutting it, you could just add it like that, or you can use a different kind. Instead of using white cardstock, maybe you want to use blue cardstock or red cardstock, or one of the cardstocks I showed. You can do that, but I think I am just going to leave mine like that because that's a lot of fussy cutting. Now the embellishments on here, she has quite a few embellishments on here. So we have, and again, depending what you use on other pages, she has the cake, and we have this open present box, and we have this big present. and then this other little one back here. So she's got a lot of presents on here. There's also this one that just has all the presents already stacked. So that would be your left hand side. Now for the right hand side, I did exactly the same thing, except I added one extra mat from the Artsy add-on. And so we can actually have a total of 7 4x6 pictures on this layout. Right? Let me get that straight. Okay, and then for embellishments on this side, we could maybe use just one of those artsy add-ons at the bottom and we would be done. I mean, again, this is another one if you wanted to use the flowers instead of the presents, by all means you could do that. So again, we saved some paper. If you want to fussy cut this, by all means. This one was actually a little bit easier to put together. So that is project number 4. So let's come back to project number 5. So back for project number 5. This is where we are going to use the orange dots. Now, so in the guidebook, the playbook, she actually cut this blue off and used the back of 2 of the fast to 5 pages and cut frames out of here. I didn't want to use these pages. I don't think there's any need to. So you could either leave it the way it is, or the reason that we cut page 1, both of those 2 for layout number 1 and left these frames, if you really think this dark blue is too dark, cut this off, right, and put the frame underneath. So you would be using this as a frame versus using 2 more pieces of paper. We already have a frame if you want, but there's no need to even make a change if you like it the way it is. So we are going to use that banner, and that banner will hold a 3.5 by 3.5 inch picture. We are going to put this plaid striped piece, which is 7A. Adhere 7A and 7B, because both sides, this is a 2-page spread, 1.5 inch from the inner side. So they're actually going to be way over there on both sides, and that one actually is. Okay, and then we're going to put our banner up here. This will hold 2 3.5 by 5.5 inch pictures and 1 3.5 by 3.5 inch photo. Let me just get one of those up here. Okay, and this is size, so you could use peekaboo mats, right? And again, you could be done. I mean, there's enough here on this side. So, but what she did is, when I said before, she cut this whatever pinwheel out of here. But I mean, you could just mount it like that if you wanted. If you didn't want to cut it out, you could just do that. On the left hand side, kind of do the same thing. We have the presents. Some of these, the Age to Perfection, the Birthday Bash we kind of used on the other page, but we can bring it back because this is where you decide where you want to put the embellishments. You don't need to follow that. And then these presents would go right along the bottom from the 6 inch to the 6 inch along there. Again, you can see that she's drawn the squiggly lines because she has a lighter paper underneath. You wouldn't need those here, but she did draw some journaling lines over here, so you could do that. Also, we have a little cupcake with some words up there. Again, if you think that's too many embellishments for you, don't need to do that. Another option that looks really cool is if you put this present under with these balloons, that kind of looks really cool like that. So again, lots of ways how to do this. You cutting off this outside, what is that, a 1/4 inch, a little more than a 1/4 of an inch, less than a half. So if you cutting that off is up to you. If you like it blue, leave it the way it is. If you want it lighter, you can either make a white 1-inch frame or use a frame from designer paper number 1. So I'm hoping that gave you a little bit more information than what we did in part 1. So with this, with the changes that we made, we would have 5 2-page projects from the project playbook plus the project recipe. So 12 pages, and we still do have paper and embellishments left. So hope that helped. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, and happy scrapping, and we'll see you all next time.